When are y'all gonna start telling the damn truth about things? The latest irritation is the guy who sits in the middle and commits to nothing and equivocates everything as equals. You know, the left and the right, the same damn thing, flip side of the same damn coin. I mean, maybe Republicans and Democrats are as a institutionalized party. They kind of are working the same angle, and I do think they coordinated with one another quite a bit, and do coordinate with one another quite a bit clandestinely. But the two sides, as far as the people, are not the same thing. They're just not. And there's a whole lot of bullshit dishonesty that comes in with that. There was this meme that used to go around, and I guess it still pops up every so often. It's about the ants. If you take some red ants and you put them in a jar and some black ants, they'll get along just fine. But if you shake up the jar, they'll start fighting. And the point of the meme is like, you're just being agitated to fight each other. It's not real. You don't really hate each other. Quit falling for it. All right, there's a little bit of truth there. But the ants aren't the same damn thing. And the fighting is only coming from one side. Every time they tell you that the right is getting ready to start blowing shit up or doing this or doing that, it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. You can say, well, the Capitol riots, that wasn't anything, right? Like, quit pretending that was something, because it wasn't anything. We all watched what that was. You know, the people that got inside the Capitol, they weren't like marauding. Stop it. Plus, they were encouraged. Plus, it was once for a couple of hours. Even in the Capitol, there have been more Democratic atrocities with people coming in and raising hell and laying down and whatever. So, I mean, it's just silliness to equate the two things and how the two sides have been behaving over the last 3 years. One side's been burning shit down for 3 years, and the other side's been sitting at home watching it on TV, listening to talking heads tell everybody why it's their fault, the people sitting at home. So it's silly, right? So now you've got Biden falling up the stairs on Air Force One, and the right points out that this is just more Joe falling apart. Well, maybe it is and maybe it isn't. It's not off out of bounds, though, to bring it up, because Joe's cognitive abilities have been clearly and obviously declining for quite some time. So if you see a guy who's in that state falling down 3 or 4 times, you worry about him. What they won't tell you is that he recovered pretty good. He got to the top of the stairs, gave him a good crisp salute, And so, on the balance, it wasn't really one of Joe's worst moments, because he did recover well. What you worry about with Joe these days is that he's going to fall down and somebody's going to have to go get him. Because a lot of times that's how he appears, like a doddering old man that doesn't know where he is, and he's frail and he's shaking a little bit, and his wife's got him by the elbow, leading him hither and yon. This is what we see happen. Now they're doing green screens, apparently, of him meeting reporters, if what we saw the other day is real, or not real, or whatever it is. I mean, clearly and obviously they were doing some sort of a computer fake with him answering a couple of questions. Is that what they have to do now, to pretend he answered a couple of questions, is do a computer fake? So I don't, The reason that it's bullshit, the reason that these equivocations are so damn irritating, the left is now pointing out, well, they're just getting on old Joe because we got on Trump a few years ago when he was using the handrail to get down the ramp that time. Well, I think it was a metal ramp. He was walking down. He's in dress shoes. It might have even been raining or slick. But the point was that, it was a hell of a lot tougher, and he had a handrail, and he didn't fall down. He just used the handrail. And they used the fact that he used the handrail as evidence of the fact that we should employ the 25th Amendment, because the man used a handrail. I mean, and the 25th Amendment, for those of you that don't know, is the the amendment that's in place in case the president ever becomes so incapacitated that he can't fulfill his duty as president, that somebody has to come in and do it for him. And they wrote this thing because of Woodrow Wilson having a stroke with like 2.5 years left in his presidency, and he was done. It was a bad stroke. So he was done. He was an invalid. And his wife essentially ran the country in the shadows because there was no mechanism in place to deal with that. So they wrote the 25th Amendment. Now they think they're going to use the 25th Amendment to just yank people out of office whenever the fuck they feel like it. That's what that whole Rod Rosenstein's going to wear a wire. No, I was just kidding, nudge, nudge. And then it turned out he wasn't kidding. All right, so that's what all that was when they were doing that handrail shit with Trump. They were setting it up because this was going to be the third or fourth reason out of eventually 16 or 20 that we're going to get Trump out of office. And they used the 25th Amendment again. It was like that was in the Rolodex whenever they ran out of a reason or they didn't have a reason ready quite yet. Well, we'll do a couple of weeks of 25th Amendment until we get this Ukraine call set up, you know. So, I mean, it was that obvious that they just, whatever they didn't succeed with, they were going to use something else. Okay, so that's part of your bullshit plan to get Trump out of office that you made us sit through over and over and over and over and over and over. And now you're going to come in and you're going to tell everybody that you're going to equivocate the two. Joe, who is clearly and obviously in cognitive failure. You're going to pretend like there's nothing there. You're going to use this stair climbing thing as a good moment. He falls down the stairs 3 times, all the way to his knees. And this is one of his better moments because he recovered so well. He did. He recovered like a normal person would if he had fallen down. I mean, that's how bad it is right now with Biden, is that when he falls on his face 3 times, you can actually point at it and go, well, that's actually not so bad for Joe. That's how bad it is right now. And you're equivocating him and Trump, who was never even remotely in cognitive trouble whatsoever. He's been the same Trump for 35 fucking years as far as I've been able to ascertain. He's the same guy. The same guy. You might not like him. You might not agree with him. You might find him irritating. But he's clearly and obviously he's given 3.5-hour interviews with Lester Holt, for God's sakes, and with Stephanopoulos, and doing just fine. I mean, you may disagree with him, but he's not nuts. That's not what 25th Amendment is for. And so that's what I mean by these equivocations that are bullshit. You got to knock it off because nobody's taking that shit seriously. And the people that are taking that shit seriously are, frankly, idiots.